It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You're wide awake, staring into the dark. A quiet ache gnaws at your chest. It's not just loneliness. It's a primal hunger for something you've lost. Not a woman, not a moment, but you. The man you were, before you started bending, compromising, living for someone else's script. Seneca, the Stoic who faced Rome's decadence with unflinching clarity, would lock eyes with you. He'd whisper, "No man is free who is a slave to his desires." Every text you send to appease, every truth you swallow to avoid a fight, every dream you shelve to fit her frame, it's a chain you forged yourself. And yet, you've been calling it love. Stay with me, because what follows isn't just a wake-up call. It's a blueprint to reclaim the man you were meant to be. A man unbound, forged in solitude, dangerous in his clarity. Let's walk this path together. The chains you don't see. That's what Seneca would name this invisible cage. In America today, a man's worth is measured, not by his strength, but by his attachments. Society screams, get the girl, get the ring, get the suburban house with the 2-car garage, and you're winning. But you've done the math, haven't you? You've traded your mornings for petty arguments over who forgot to call, your ambitions for her approval, your fire for a fleeting warmth that leaves you colder than before. Seneca saw this trap 2,000 years ago, when Rome's elite traded their spines for status. He is most powerful, he wrote, who holds himself in his own power. So why are you handing that power to someone who doesn't even know its weight? Picture yourself in a Chicago coffee shop. It's Saturday afternoon. You're scrolling through Instagram. The couple at the next table is staging a photo for their feed. They're smiling, but their eyes are tired. Their voices clipped. You're not so different. Every post you make, every date you plan, every compromise you offer, it's a performance. You're not living, you're auditioning. For her nod, for society's applause, for a hit of validation, that evaporates before you close the app. Seneca would spit at this. He'd tell you to stop dancing for an audience that doesn't see the real you. The single man doesn't perform. He exists, raw, unfiltered, untamed. He walks through the world's noise with a quiet that cuts like a blade. His silence isn't weakness, it's power. And that power begins when you stop letting others write your story. But here's the question that keeps you up at night. Who are you when no one's watching? Not the boyfriend, not the provider, not the guy who's working on himself to keep her happy. The real you. The one who used to dream of building something bigger than a picket fence. A legacy, a purpose, a life that echoes beyond your years. Seneca would tell you, the first step to finding that man is to stop looking for him in someone else's eyes. The world wants you to believe love is the answer, that a relationship is the key to happiness. But every time you bend your truth to fit her expectations, you're not getting closer to happiness. You're drifting further from yourself. Keep listening, because what comes next will show you how to reclaim that self. Not through fleeting romance, but through the fire of solitude. The forge of solitude. This is where the unbound man is born. Picture a Saturday morning in a small American town. The couple next door is bickering over who forgot to buy almond milk. Their voices, a dull hum of obligation. But you, the single man, wake to silence. Not the empty kind, the kind that crackles with possibility. You brew your coffee slow, savoring the ritual. You crack open a book that challenges your mind, or you hit the gym until your muscles scream and your heart roars. Your day isn't a negotiation with someone else's moods. It's a canvas, and you paint it with purpose. Seneca didn't praise solitude because he hated love. He revered it because it's the only space where a man can hear his own thoughts. Retire into yourself as much as you can, he urged. In that retreat, you're not hiding from the world. You're reclaiming it. You're not dodging pain. You're mastering it. Solitude isn't a punishment. It's a proving ground. Every hour you spend chasing her approval is an hour stolen from building your empire. Every apology for your ambition is a brick pulled from your foundation. Think about the last time you felt truly alive. Was it in the middle of an argument, tiptoeing around her feelings? Or was it when you were alone, lost in a project, a workout, a moment of clarity that felt like lightning? Seneca knew the mind grows restless in noise, and relationships, though sweet in their promises, are often factories of noise, quarrels over nothing, anxieties over everything, the dull throb of obligation dressed up as romance. But a mind that rests in solitude sharpens like an obsidian blade. It studies, it creates, it forges plans that burn the horizon. Let's talk about time, the currency of kings. In a relationship, your hours are taxed. You spend them decoding her texts, navigating her expectations, justifying why you need a night to yourself. You're not just giving her your time, you're giving her your energy, your focus, your fire. Every "I'm sorry for being yourself" is a withdrawal from your soul's account. But the single man, he's a billionaire of time. He stacks his hours like gold bars, investing them in ideas that spark, in workouts that sculpt, in books that reshape his mind. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." The single man wastes nothing. He forges his days into weapons, sharp, deliberate, aimed at the stars. And don't confuse solitude with loneliness. Loneliness is a leech. It feeds on need. Solitude is a forge. It shapes strength. When you're alone, you face the raw truth of yourself. No filters, no distractions. Your doubts, your hungers, your unpolished edges. It's not comfortable, but it's clear. Seneca knew pain is the great teacher. "A gem cannot be polished without friction," he wrote, "nor a man perfected without trials." Solitude is that friction. It's the crucible where you burn away the inessential, people-pleasing, insecurity, the need to explain yourself to those who can't match your depth. What's left is a man who knows who he is, not because someone told him, but because he's faced himself. Think about the last relationship you were in. How much of your energy went to managing her emotions? How many times did you soften your truth to avoid a fight? How many dreams did you put on hold because they didn't fit her vision? God damn it, that's what I mean. You're not just fighting her, you're fighting yourself. Trying to be someone you're not, to keep her happy. Seneca would call that servitude, not love. He'd tell you to stop apologizing for your ambition and start owning it. The single man doesn't negotiate his purpose. He pursues it relentlessly because he knows time is his most precious asset. And when you start treating your time like gold, you'll wonder why you ever spent it on anything less than your own growth. Stay with me, because we're about to uncover what it means to live, not for approval, but for impact. The unbound man, this is who you become when you step into the fire of solitude and emerge whole. Picture him. A man walks into a bar in Austin or a boardroom in New York. Not the loud guy, not the flashy one, the one who carries silence like a blade. Heads turn, not because he demands it, but because his presence does. He's single, not because he's broken or bitter, but because he's complete. Seneca would nod in approval. "The wise man is content with himself," he wrote. "That virtue suffices for happiness." This man doesn't need a woman's gaze to feel alive. He's already burning with purpose. The world will tell you, love is the answer, that a relationship is the key to a full life. But Seneca would counter, love without discipline is a cage. It's not the woman who binds you. It's your need for her. That need makes you bend, shrink, censor yourself, until you're a shadow of the man you could be. You've felt it, haven't you? The exhaustion of performing, saying the right thing at the right time, softening your edges to keep the peace. You called it compromise, but it was closer to surrender. The unbound man doesn't surrender. He doesn't trade his soul for a warm bed or a soft smile. He knows that true love, if it comes, flows from strength, not desperation, from overflow, not emptiness. Look around you, at the men in cubicles, in dive bars, in suburban backyards. They wear commitment like a badge, but their eyes betray them. They're not free. They're tenants in their own lives, paying rent to someone else's expectations. They smile for the photos, but inside, there's a scream they've silenced. Seneca saw this in Rome's elite, men who traded their spines for status. "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," he wrote. And what do most men imagine? That they're nothing without her. That solitude is a sentence, not a sanctuary. But you, the unbound man, have tasted the clarity of a life unscripted by her moods. You've walked through the fire of your own company and emerged sharper, stronger, more dangerous, not to others, but to the world's lies. You can't be bought with flattery, broken by rejection, or tamed by comfort. Let's be brutal. Most men don't fall in love. They fall into servitude. She becomes the new god. And every decision, your career, your schedule, your thoughts, is filtered through her imagined response. The moment you need her approval to breathe, you've ceased to be a man in the Stoic sense. Seneca believed true wealth is self-command. A man who needs nothing possesses everything. The single man, if he's awake, isn't poor in love. He's rich in liberty. He dines alone, but tastes every bite with the clarity of a sovereign. He sleeps alone, but his dreams are untainted by fear of betrayal or emotional blackmail. He doesn't just enjoy peace. He embodies it. Consider the American man today, trapped in a cycle of dating apps, happy hours, endless texting threads. He's not choosing his path. He's reacting to it. Every swipe, every "what you doing" message, every carefully curated reply. It's a performance. He's not building a life. He's building a profile. Seneca would ask, why do you not act instead of complaining? You don't need a better relationship. You need a better allegiance to yourself. When you live aligned with your reason, your actions follow your will, not her whims. The unbound man is untouchable, not because he's cold, but because he's whole. The cost of conformity, it's higher than you think. In a relationship, you're not just sharing your life, you're splitting your soul. You spend energy decoding her silences, anticipating her needs, apologizing for your instincts. You call it partnership, but it's often closer to performance art. You've been there. The late-night talks that solve nothing. The compromises that chip away at your core. A Saturday that could have been yours, but instead became a negotiation over whose plans matter more. Seneca would call this a betrayal, not of her, but of yourself. A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary, he wrote. And you, bound by emotional bureaucracy, suffer daily, not from solitude, but from your refusal to embrace it. Now imagine the alternative. A morning in Denver. The air crisp, the Rockies looming in the distance. You wake up, and the day is yours. No texts to answer, no moods to manage, no dreams to defer. You hit the trail, your boots crunching against the earth, your mind free to wander. You spend an hour reading philosophy, another lifting weights, another sketching out a business idea that's been simmering in your head for years. This isn't loneliness, it's ownership. Seneca knew solitude is the breeding ground of greatness. Associate with those who will make a better man of you, he advised. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. Notice he didn't say a lover would suffice. He placed friendship and personal mastery above fleeting entanglements. The unbound man doesn't just have time, he has focus. He's unshackled from the emotional tax of relationships. No explaining why you stayed late at the office. No justifying why you need a weekend to recharge. Your energy is yours to direct, not to defend. Seneca warned. The mind grows restless when buried in noise. And relationships, though they glitter with promise, can be factories of noise, the hum of unspoken expectations, the static of petty conflicts, the weight of obligations, masquerading as affection. But in solitude, your mind is a quiet forge. You study, you build, you refine. Your plans don't just spark, they ignite. The myth of need, let's dismantle it. The world sells you a lie, that you're incomplete without a partner. That solitude is a defect. But Seneca would laugh. The first step toward wisdom, he wrote, is the desire for solitude. Not because people are evil, but because noise is the enemy of self-knowledge. Modern relationships, for all their poetry, are often noise dressed as intimacy. 1,000 texts a day, constant check-ins, the emotional ping-pong of validation and guilt. Where in that chaos do you find space to breathe? The single man has something most men in relationships can't name: stillness. It's in the way he moves, the way he chooses, the way he can be silent for days and never feel empty. Stillness isn't absence, it's presence, distilled to its purest form. Think back to your last relationship. How much of your soul did you spend managing her storms? How many times did you bite your tongue to keep the peace? How many ambitions did you shelve because they didn't fit her vision? That wasn't growth, it was erosion. Seneca would ask, what did you gain? Conditional affection? Sexual access? In exchange for submission? The illusion of being chosen? He'd raise an eyebrow at such a trade. A gem cannot be polished without friction, he wrote, nor a man perfected without trials. Relationships can be trials, yes, but too often, they're torture. The single man faces a different trial, the raw ache of his own company. And in that ache, he finds clarity. He stops apologizing for his hunger. He stops pretending he wants less than he does. He stops negotiating who he is. The power of the unbound. This is what the world fears. A man who walks alone, deliberately, is dangerous. Not because he harms others, but because he can't be controlled. He can't be swayed by sex, softened by flattery, or broken by rejection. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And there's no braver act in this age than to be a man alone, unashamed, and complete. The unbound man doesn't chase love, he creates it. Not the fleeting kind, but the kind that flows from a life well lived. He builds a legacy, not a love story. He trains his body, sharpens his mind, hones his purpose. His schedule is his weapon, his focus, his shield. While others drown in the shallow waters of emotional compromise, he swims in the deep, hard studies, cold mornings, late nights of deliberate silence. Look at the men around you, in the sports bars of Atlanta, the tech hubs of San Francisco, the suburbs of Dallas. They wear the ring, play the role, smile for the camera, but their eyes tell a different story. Hollow, coiled, tamed by a love they don't fully understand, and obligations they never consciously chose. Seneca saw this in his world too. Men praised for devotion, admired for being domesticated, but he knew the cost. "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," he wrote, "and most men suffer because they imagine they're nothing without her. They're not in love, they're in servitude, filtering every thought through her potential reaction." The unbound man has burned that script. He lives for himself, not for her approval. He doesn't dine alone, he dines with clarity. He doesn't sleep alone, he sleeps with sovereignty. The crucible of clarity. This is where greatness is forged. Solitude doesn't break you, it reveals you. It strips away the roles you've played. Boyfriend, provider, nice guy, and leaves you with the truth. If that truth feels like emptiness, good. That's where you begin. Seneca believed, discomfort is the start of transformation. We become wise not by remembering the past, he wrote, but by preparing for the future. The single man prepares. He doesn't wait for permission. He sharpens his skills, his standards, his ability to walk away from what doesn't elevate him. Because when you're single and strong, you don't settle for a warm body. You seek a partner in purpose, or you choose no one at all. Because you know, it's better to walk alone in clarity than beside someone in confusion. The world celebrates the man who sacrifices everything for love, who trades his peace for connection. But Seneca would turn your gaze inward and ask, what are you really giving up? Your ambition, your focus, your soul's hunger. For what? A relationship where you must shrink, censor, question yourself. To keep the illusion alive? That's not love. It's bondage, dressed in perfume. You, man of silence, man of fire, man of forgotten dreams. You were not born to be caged by convention. You were born to create, to conquer, to become. Let them mock you for being single. Let them pity you in whispers. You'll smile, not from pride, but from knowing what they don't. That a man who walks alone walks with destiny. The dangerous man, this is who you are when you embrace solitude. Not dangerous to others, but to the lies you've been fed. You're ungovernable because you're content alone. You're unbreakable because you've faced your own darkness. Seneca knew the world would tempt you with pleasures, flattery, romantic escape hatches. But he taught, true pleasure comes from mastering pain, not avoiding it. That means facing your fear of loneliness head on, not masking it with attachments. It means looking in the mirror, not for validation, but for direction. Once you've tasted that self-intimacy, the idea of bending again, of shrinking again, is revolting. You've been lied to your whole life. They told you being alone is failure. That solitude means something's wrong with you. But Seneca would laugh. As long as you live, keep learning how to live, he wrote. And how can you learn if your days are consumed managing someone else's moods? How can you evolve if your growth threatens the fragile balance of a relationship where comfort is king and truth is sin? Singleness isn't an escape from women. It's a return to yourself. It's the moment you stop being a satellite in someone else's orbit and become a star, burning on your own fuel. That's terrifying because it reveals how much you've been hiding behind roles. Boyfriend, nice guy, dependable. Strip those away, and what's left? If it's emptiness, that's your starting line. If it's fire, that's your fuel. The call to rise, this is your moment. The world fears the single man because he's indifferent to its games. He's stepped off the treadmill of begging for attention, pleasing, performing, proving. He's dangerous because he can't be manipulated with sex or softness or shame. Seneca revered solitude as the soil where integrity grows. He who is brave is free, he said, and bravery in this age is being a man alone, unashamed and complete. Your time, your energy, your fire, where do they go when you're not single? To explaining yourself, decoding messages, rebuilding trust over things you didn't even do. That's time you could have spent crafting your body, building your legacy, understanding your soul. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Yet most men waste their best years, negotiating their instincts just to be accepted. They surrender mornings to conflict, nights to obligation, minds to someone else's lease. The unbound man is different. He's not wealthy because he's free from bills. He's wealthy because he owns his time. He spends it deliberately, not reactively. He chooses how to rise, how to rest, how to learn, how to build. He doesn't explain his goals. He executes them. He doesn't plead for peace. He is peace. Solitude gives you sovereignty, not just space. It's not absence. It's access to your deeper self, your truer aims, your untapped power. The world says having someone is better than being alone, but being half of a broken thing is worse than being whole in your solitude. Growth doesn't happen under constant compromise. It happens in the furnace of solitude, where no one's watching and no one's clapping. That's where you meet your darkness. That's where you shape it into discipline, strategy, wisdom. That's where you become not just a better man, but a dangerous one. The final truth: you are enough. Not in a shallow, self-help way, but in the profound way of a man who's walked through his own abyss and come out carrying light. Solitude doesn't just give you time, it gives you courage. The courage to meet yourself, to face your fears, to build without distraction. Seneca understood, love isn't evil. But love without virtue, without clarity, without self-respect, isn't love at all. It's addiction, dressed in roses. The cure isn't another relationship. It's silence. It's solitude. It's the radical act of saying, I am enough. And in saying that, you become the man no one can tame. Not because you're cruel, but because you're whole. So when they ask, why are you still single? Don't flinch. Look them in the eye and say, because I'm not here to be half of someone else's story. I'm writing my own. Let them squirm. Let them whisper. They fear you because you're free. Seneca would call that freedom, the only true wealth. And you, brother, are richer than they'll ever know. This isn't the end, it's the beginning. If this truth has sparked a fire in you, don't let it die. Share this with the men in your life who've forgotten their spark. Your brother, your friend, the guy staring at his phone, waiting for a reply that'll never come. Subscribe to this channel to keep these truths alive, to fuel the fire of your sovereignty. Support the mission through the link below. Because we're building a brotherhood of men who walk alone, not out of weakness, but out of power. Your legacy isn't waiting for you in someone else's arms. It's waiting in the work you do, the man you become, the life you forge. Stay sharp, stay sovereign, stay unbound.